The Galactic Council's diplomatic hall had seen many tense moments in its 3-century history, but none quite like this. Maris stood at the center of the crystalline chamber, her worn expedition jacket a stark contrast to the gleaming biosuits of the assembled delegates. She'd been invited to present humanity's petition for trade routes through the Outer Rim, a formality, really, since most species considered humans too fragile, too emotional, too soft for serious galactic commerce. Then Tikar had wandered in. The Vraxi cub was no larger than a Earth lynx, but his species' reputation preceded him. Vraxi were apex predators on 7 worlds, their adults capable of tearing through starship hulls with crystalline claws. Their young were raised in strict isolation until their hunting instincts could be properly channeled, which made Tikar's presence in the diplomatic hall, during humanity's first major presentation, no less highly irregular. Ambassador Krell, the cub's guardian, had frozen mid-sentence when Tikar padded through the doorway, his 6 legs moving with liquid grace. The youngling's silver-black fur rippled with patterns that signaled curiosity in Vraxi body language. "Nobody move," Krell hissed, his translator rendering the words in flat monotone that didn't quite capture his panic. The cub must have escaped the nursery. If startled, he may. Tikar's attention had already locked onto something far more interesting than the nervous ambassador. His luminous yellow eyes fixed on Maris, or more specifically, on the frayed sleeve of her jacket where a patch hung loose. The delegates watched in horror as the cub crept forward, his haunches lowering into a hunting crouch. The Ithrani representative actually fled the chamber. 2 security drones activated but held position, programmed not to harm diplomatic guests, even very young, very dangerous ones. Maris stood perfectly still. She'd spent 6 months on Harvest Station near the Vraxi breeding worlds. She'd studied their behavioral patterns, learned their body language, understood the difference between aggression and play. Tikar pounced, his jaws closed around her sleeve with a grip designed by evolution to hold struggling prey. His needle-sharp milk teeth, still a year from their full development, nevertheless locked tight. In another context, this would be the moment before the kill. The room erupted. "Get her out," someone shouted. "Tranquilizer protocols," another voice demanded. Ambassador Krell lunged forward, reaching for the override controls that would flood the chamber with sedative mist, a measure that might harm the humans present, but would save her life. But Maris was already moving. Instead of pulling away, instead of freezing or screaming or doing any of the logical things prey species did when caught, she grinned, a wide, delighted grin that showed her flat omnivore teeth, and she pulled back, not hard. Not aggressively, just a gentle, playful tug, the kind a littermate might give during a mock battle, the kind that said, "I'm in this game too." Tikar's ears perked up. His grip loosened for just a moment, confused. This wasn't how prey behaved. Prey ran or submitted or fought with desperation. They didn't play back. Maris tugged again, adding a slight shake to her arm. "Oh, you've got me," she said, her voice light with amusement. Such a fierce hunter. The cub's entire demeanor shifted. His tail, which had been straight and focused, began to wave. His pupils dilated, not with aggression, but with excitement. He released her sleeve, pawed at it, then grabbed it again with less pressure. More game than hunt, she pulled. He pulled back. She twisted her arm in a gentle spiral, and he followed, his young body adapting to the play pattern. When she finally tugged free, she didn't run. Instead, she dangled the sleeve slightly, an invitation. Tikar chirped, an actual chirp of delight, and pounced again, this time with pure playfulness. No hunting crouch, no killing intent. Just a cub who'd found an unexpected playmate. The security drones powered down, confused. Ambassador Krell stood frozen, his hand still hovering over the emergency controls. Maris lowered herself to one knee, bringing her face level with the cub. Tikar released her sleeve and headbutted her hand instead, seeking affection. She obliged, scratching behind his auditory ridge where Vraxi cubs universally love to be touched. "He's just a baby," she said, glancing up at the assembled delegates. Her smile hadn't faded. A bored baby who needed someone to play with. "That baby," Krell managed, his voice strangled, "could have removed your arm." "Could have," Maris agreed, running her fingers through Tikar's thick fur. The cub had flopped onto his back, all 6 paws in the air, exposing his vulnerable belly in complete trust. But he didn't want to. He wanted to play. There's a difference. She stood slowly, carefully extracting herself from the cub's affection. Tikar bounded after her a few steps, then sat, his tail still swishing happily. Humans, the correlation minister finally spoke, his species' gel form rippling with what might have been astonishment, do not have young like this. You have no evolutionary framework for understanding apex predator behavior patterns. How did you know?
We don't have young exactly like this, Maris corrected, brushing off her jacket.
But we have dogs, cats. We domesticated wolves while most of you were still developing agriculture. We learned to read predator behavior not because we were predators ourselves, but because we wanted to be their friends. She glanced back at Tikar, who had found a light fixture to bat at. We're not the strongest species. We're not the fastest or the most logical, but we're excellent at making friends with things that could eat us. It's kind of our specialty. The room fell silent. Even the air circulation system seemed to quiet, as if the station itself was listening. Ambassador Krell approached Tikar carefully, scooping up the cub with the practiced ease of a guardian. But his eyes remained on Maris. The trade routes, he said slowly. Perhaps humanity has more to offer than we initially assessed. Maris smiled that same fearless smile. Perhaps we do. As she gathered her presentation materials, Tikar chirped from Krell's arms, waving one paw in her direction. She waved back. 3 months later, the Outer Rim trade routes opened to human vessels. The official reason cited unique diplomatic capabilities. Unofficially, word spread through the Galactic Council. Humans were the species who played tug-of-war with apex predators and won, not through strength, but through something far more unsettling: joy.